It's Eagles. It's Rams. It's NFL Week 3. Final preview and prediction. We're going to break it all down. The keys to victory. How the Eagles get to 3-0. The surprise little theory on something that people are missing. Really, truly missing something special with this Eagles team. Trending in the AM, we are live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on the STT Sports Network. We're live, YouTube and Twitter, you know the drill. Wherever you're watching, hit that like button. Wherever you're watching, share it out. And, of course, hit that subscribe button at 6:52 today. Can we get to 6:55? I don't know. Hit those buttons, guys, and vote on our YouTube poll question. If you're watching on Twitter, head over to the YouTube page pinned in the profile there on the Twitter page. Head on over there to vote on our YouTube poll question. Who wins on Sunday, the Eagles or the Rams? Pretty simple question. We're going to break it all down. Eagles, Rams. The Rams Super Bowl, just another game for the Eagles. Can we get to 3-0? We're going to break it all down today, guys. So get those comments flowing, get those thoughts going, and let's get into it. Steven Fuentes, happy Football Friday. Phillies won the series versus the Dodgers earlier in the week, and now the Eagles are going to hand the Rams a loss. You know, it's funny you say that, Steven, because in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking last week we beat the Royals in a series, then beat the Chiefs in a football game. Now we beat the Dodgers in a series, so in turn, we should beat the Rams in a game as well, right? So all those things kind of lining up there. Yes, the Buffalo Bills won yesterday. Cool. Good for them. Very good for them, I guess. What's up, Adam? Good morning. Football Friday. Let's go Birds. 100%. Good morning, little G. Hope you are well today. We got Eagles. We got Rams. Looks like we're healthy. Looks like Dallas Goedert will be back. Tanner McKee's available. Even Will Shipley practiced limitedly yesterday. But I want to start. There's a lot of noise this week, right? And we've talked all about it all week, about the tush push and the lack of passing stats, the lack of an effective offense. And there's two things here. First off, you've got the other media channels out there, which you should be making the switch and listening to this versus that, because we're not going to make these kind of nonsense. Asking fans if a loss would be acceptable if we have an effective offense. If Jalen Hurts throws for 300 yards, but we lose, is that okay? So that's one angle that's really annoying me. Two, the tush push. Obviously, the league sending out a memo saying that they're going to officiate it a little harder now, which means just call it against the Eagles every single time, no matter what happens. Then they're putting one of their stingiest ref crews on the game as well. And you know what I think about the passing narrative, the NFL narrative, the tush push narrative? I don't care. And you know why? I don't care. I don't care about those narratives for two reasons. One, we just win. And one, B, we just win because I don't think enough people know how elite the Eagles defense actually is. I want to give you something here, and I'm going to bring this up a couple times throughout the show because we're just getting started here. People are still just getting into the stream here. The Eagles defense has only given up 24 or more points 3 times in the last 23 games. 23 games. 3 out of 23 games, they've given up 24 or more points. Just think about that. Comprehend how elite. They've only given up 30 or more points twice in 23 games. They've kept opponents 20 and below 14 out of 23 times. I don't care if we score 18, 20 points a game. When your defense is capable of holding your opponent to 20 or less, you're going to win a lot of football games. And I don't think people realize how special this Eagles defense actually has been since the start of last year. Those 3 times that we gave up 24 or more points. We gave up 29 to Green Bay in Brazil last year. We gave up 33 in the loss to Tampa last year and 36 in the loss to Washington last year. And that's it. That's it. The 2 times we played the Rams last year, 20 points and 22 points we gave up. And that's it. Just think about that right there. Phillies just taking sports teams, cities out one at a time. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a very interesting angle that I didn't think of till I saw your post. I'm like, you know what? We did it with the Chiefs in Kansas City last week. Let's do it with the Rams in LA this week. I saw the refs are going to watch the tush push. It's crazy. They're gonna zone in, and then they picked the ref crew who calls the most false starts and the most offsides and the most offensive pass interference in the league. A ref crew that didn't even have an assignment last week. They're not even a full-time ref crew. They refed week 1 and they didn't have an assignment last week. It's kind of hilarious. Even Al Michaels throwing shade at the Eagles last night, saying that some teams are good but not particularly interesting. The Bills are a great team to watch. Wins are interesting to me. Exactly. See, I didn't watch all or much of last night, so I missed him saying this. Some teams are good but not interesting. Who gives a shit if the team's interesting? I guess with what he's saying, he's looking at the mass appeal, the broad appeal. Casual fans want to tune into an exciting football game. I know. But I don't care what somebody in Green Bay or Buffalo thinks of an Eagles game. I care that the Eagles win. And that's all that most Eagles fans care about. Just put the snacks away. Good for you. What did you eat? When do I get them out for the Phillies? I mean, they play tonight. We want more. We want game predictions. Dude, we are literally 7 minutes in this show. I am not giving you my game predictions 7 minutes into the show. Shout out to Steve. T-Mook ref crew this week. Basically, this crew was picked and given an objective to call a false start on the Eagles on every tush push and do everything they can to make sure the Eagles do not win on Sunday. We already saw week 1, the Eagles be undisciplined and have a boatload of penalties. They got it a little bit better last week, right? But you got to go get your special send a statement ref crew for this Eagles game. And that's what they're doing. But honestly, I don't care. Because you take the tush push away. You continue not to have an elite offense. And what do you still have? A defense that just does not give up scores. The defense of this Eagles is actually elite. And I remember talking about this last year at one point, talking about how this could go down as the greatest era of Eagles defensive football. I know it doesn't have Reggie White and Andre Dawkins and Seth Joyner. The star power might not be there yet, but it will be as these names become household names. This Eagles defense gives up points at record low numbers in an era of NFL football where points are the goal. I bet you, and I'm spitfiring here, you couldn't find me another defense that's given up 24 or more points less times than the Eagles over their last 23 games. Just think about that. The Phillies aren't in poor people TV until playoffs. Sorry to tell you that. I mean, that's just the way it is. Guys, if you're watching, you just tune in, like, share, subscribe, vote on the poll question of the day. Who's winning and why? Eagles or Rams? I was thinking of y'all because Josh Allen 2 weeks in a row has not been productive in passing. Yeah, I mean, where's the complaint about Josh Allen's passing chart after last night? He didn't spread the ball deep down the field. He dunked and dove. He got the benefit of the refs calling things his way multiple times last night. But anyway, to the Eagles. When I hear media channels talking about we would rather a loss if it meant seeing Jalen Hurts pass the ball, throw it around, etc., right? It makes me sick when the narrative should be about the defense, or the narrative is what it is because they want him to throw. I also believe this whole narrative that Jalen Hurts needs to throw the ball, take more chances, is actually a ploy to get him to do that, so that when he turns the ball over, they can then criticize him. Or when he throws for 300 but loses, that they can criticize him that he's not a winning quarterback. I think they're next level thinking. They want him. They knew after 2023 he turned the ball over a lot in 2023. What do they got to do? They got to criticize him that he turns the ball over too much. So he gets really conservative, not turn the ball over. Well, now they're criticizing for that. It's just whatever he does next, they'll talk the opposite. When the narrative should be the Eagles' defense is elite. They're fundamentally elite. They do the little things. They play team defense. The Eagles' defense is pretty special. 148 passing yards. Jets might as well have Phil or Hurts play quarterback. I love the digs at Jalen Hurts. It just makes it even better when he wins. Why would a Philly talk show, radio show go against their own team? They are not real fans. They do it for the ratings. Absolutely because of the ratings, Adam. The viewers, the clicks. In a clickbait era, that's what you do. But they just want negative things to happen. So they put negativity out there. With all the pre-snap motion that the Rams do, they are going to make sure Adams is matched up on Jackson this week. Can you see them avoiding that and have Quinion follow Adams all game? Well, I think there's a couple different things of that. The Rams do run motion, pre-snap motion a lot, but not just Devontae Adams. From the highlight reels I watched recently, it's a lot of Puka Nacua running pre-snap motion. Puka Nacua line up outside, then motions into the slot, which means Puka will be on Cooper Dejean a lot. Devontae Adams, maybe he runs some motion too. They worked in training camp a lot on Quinion following A.J. Brown side to side so he can get used to doing that. They haven't used that yet this year. Will they this year? I don't know. My thing is with the Rams, I think Adoree', if you have the right defensive schemed up, if you give him help, can be fine. Because let's be honest, this Rams offense, I know they're 2-0. I know they have Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, but it's not a good offense so far this year. They'd have put up 14 points week 1 against the Texans. They did put up 33 last week, but, I mean, it was the Titans. Stafford's a statue. You pressure him, that's a win. Their run game, Kyron Williams, after getting a big payday, is not good. Their offensive line's not that's special. It's all about stopping Puka and Devontae. And hell, Devontae's only got 10 catches on the year at this point. I have the confidence that Vic Fangio will have a defense schemed up, whether it's Quinion follow him or Adoree's on him when he's on that side, to make it work. Because, again, the numbers don't lie. This is an elite era of Eagles defense, and nobody's talking about it. Hi, I'm money. Have we met? What? What are we talking about here? The Rams versus Eagles will be so fire. The Rams traveling to Philly, 1 o'clock game, West Coast, East Coast. It also does favor the Eagles. Actually, a lot more than people realize. I don't think I've heard anybody talk about that this week outside of me. But I don't worry about, an individualized one-on-one matchup when it comes to the Eagles defense. I don't worry about that because I have faith and trust that Vic Fangio is running the best defense in Eagles history right now. The problem for the Rams is the line. They have to run misdirection and quick releases to beat this team. And we should be used to it. We played them twice last year. Actually, Jalen Hurts is, I think, 3-0 in his career against the Rams now. We should be used to what? The league should have a book on what Sean McVay does with this misdirection. A lot of the misdirection really doesn't actually misdirect anybody. It's a lot of pre-snap, dipsy-do, and then it's all just pretty basic, the offense. If you stay focused on the ball, the plays are pretty basic. What's up, Mitchie Poo? Good morning to you today. Hope you are well this morning. Rams want to squabble up in Philly. They're getting all lumped up black and blue. Good morning, mister. How you doing? Blitz Stafford's statue old ass. I hope Makuba has a repeat performance from last week. This is going to be one of those weeks. The lack of a great offensive line for the Rams. You don't need to send all-out blitzes and 5-6-man blitzes. 4 men should be able to get pressure on Matthew Stafford regularly in this game. Easily in this game. And I expect them to do that. I do want to see what the follow-up performance for Matthew Stafford, or for Andrew Makuba is this week. I'm intrigued how he follows up his great performance, his coming out performance last week, for sure. One could argue someone saying a quarterback is fine with under 200 yards passing in a game is clickbait. It is, to an extent. He's back, Carson Wentz. That's right, Kid Camden. We get to see Carson Wentz throwing passes to Justin Jefferson in a football game all these years later. It's almost like the world meant it to happen. Sean McVay is a Chip Kelly without a sports science obsession and an ability to treat people like adults. I think that's a very fair comparison, honestly. And at this point, there's a book on. I don't understand why people are worried. I'm not saying you are, but people are worried about this Rams offense against this defense. Vic Fangio's seen it. Vic Fangio's seen it plenty of times. Vic Fangio knows what needs to get done. And I'm not concerned about it. All the noise, all the attention is on the offense and the tush push, or the lack of offense and the tush push. When in reality, the attention should be going towards the defense. And I think I got criticized last year on this show for saying it. That this Eagles defense is in an era that's going to rival and maybe beat the Mean Green or whatever we called them defense of the early 90s. They don't have the Hall of Fame name yet, like Reggie White or Eric Allen. But they got a lot of young talent that has a trajectory course of Hall of Fame level. Name brand recognition. This is a special defense. And I don't care what the Rams throw at them. The defense is going to win regularly. Wentz is going to make the Bengals defense look like an actual NFL defense. Yeah, I'm torn on how to feel on that game. The Vikings are the favorite in that game, too. They are. And you got Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz. Like, really? Kyron Williams is good. He has not been good this year. He's got 132 yards, 3.8 yards per carry average this season, man, chatter. 3.8 is not good for a guy you just gave a big extension to in the offseason. Cover Puka. Tutu is okay. But the wide receiver core of the Rams is better than mid. Puka and Adams are great. Tutu can stretch the field. But we've got an elite defense and an elite secondary. So, again, I don't worry about it. You didn't even get 100 yards, me, and your bum ass still lost. I mean, I think there's a story there. More of a story than gets credit, mister. Pre-Super Bowl champion Jalen Hurts, pre-Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts, doesn't mouth off back at Chris Jones there. Jalen Hurts in the offseason spoke about how the Super Bowl victory gave him a little validation to his confidence, a little validation to his work ethic. Now that he feels validated, he's becoming a bigger and better leader. He's becoming a more vocal leader. And Chris Jones needs to understand he got 101 yards, so it was more than 100 yards, too. Chris Jones is like using Scott Steiner math. This team isn't coached by a over-blitzing head coach that better teams knew how to attack. Vic Fangio just coaches great team defense. Ferguson is a rookie tight end. Ain't Hugsby good at Higsby? Yeah, Higsby's a good tight end. He's beaten us in the past. Good morning, Bruce. Talk about two backup quarterbacks who have the luxury of having Jefferson and I know. What better situation? I mean, I guess the Eagles have a great situation, too, if you're a backup quarterback throwing to AJ and Devontae. But, man, those two backup quarterbacks, there ain't no excuses, right, Steve? No excuses for those two guys. Your secondary is fire. I would be positive. I'm extremely positive that our secondary is fine. I'm extremely positive our entire defense. And that's the point of the first half of today's show, is making sure we shine light on the good versus the negative conversation. The negative conversation is about the offense not putting up yards and stats, but wins. I love in the video, in the mic'd up video that they dropped, Jalen Hurts was mic'd up for the last game. They dropped that 15-minute video yesterday. Man, Chatter, you can check it out. I'm sure it's on the Eagles YouTube page. It was on their social media pages, too. The mic'd up from this past week. And there's a scene in the mic'd up video after the big pass to Davante Adams that pretty much helped seal this game up. And the quarterback coach, I forget his name, he's a college coach, came over late this offseason to be the new quarterback coach for the Eagles, goes up to him and said, I told you, all it takes is one big play. Gave him that vote of confidence. That's all it is. You keep plugging away, and then the big plays come. Stay focused on what you do. The big plays will come. I really like Eagles linebacker core now. I mean, we've gone from a team that doesn't care about linebacker play to having arguably the best linebacker duo in football, which is crazy. Bruce predicts 27-21 Eagles, and AJ and Devontae will get touchdowns, and Hurts will get a tush push. They're going to struggle to use the tush push. The extra emphasis on the tush push is going to be interesting to see how it's officiated. But this is not a bad score prediction. I can see it playing out like that. It's all going to depend on how the refs call offensive pass interference. And this ref crew, the Timu ref crew, over the last year or so, I forget the stat I saw, leads the league in called offensive pass interference. Leads the league in it. Feel we will sack Stafford at least 3 times, too. Okay, I like that. I can see that. Our pass rush is elite. Our pass rush is great. Stafford can't move in the pocket. Let's go a Jalen Carter sack, a Jalix Hunt sack, and a Jihaad Campbell sack. I got to write that down so I don't forget. Carter, Campbell, Hunt, sacks. There, I got that prediction. There we go. I like that, Bruce. I like that. Rams better try and score as much as they can in the first half because we all know Vic and the Eagles defense ain't giving up anything in the second half. And what are they going to score, Steven? Again, as the stat goes, the Eagles defense over the last 23 games has only given up 24 or more points 3 times. Hell, they've only given up 20 or more points 14 times out of the last 23 games. So even if they score 17 points or 20 points in the first half, that's not enough to beat the Eagles. And Vic Fangio did say in his press conference on Tuesday, I think it was, that we make too much of a big deal about halftime adjustments and the halftime adjustments he makes. He's like, I really got, what adjustments can I really make, he said, Steve. He's like, by the time I get from the booth down to the locker room, and then from the locker room back up to the booth, I'm really just in the locker room for 5 minutes. And what can I do in 5 minutes? He said adjustments happen all game long. And they rely on their game planning and stuff like that. Will any of us get flagged for roughing the passer? There were a few close calls last week. I don't know. Maybe. I know the league is extra conservative on protecting Mr. Josh Allen last night. I saw some personal fouls called against people hitting him that were a little weak. I like all your prediction. Carter, Campbell, and Jihaad will all get sacks. Yeah, I like it. You said 3. I picked the 3. We'll piggyback and say it's a joint prediction, right? Over under passing yards for Hurts on Sunday. So, again, I'm trying to put the focus on the defense, but I know the offense is what everybody's looking at. And I don't care how many passing yards he has. You know why I don't care? All I care about is one thing, mister, and that's if we get the W at the end of the game. There's a W. That's all that matters. That's all that should matter, right? I do expect them to pass a little bit more because while Saquon had 2 massive games against the Rams last year, the Rams' defense is a better, they're not great run defense, but they're a better run defense than pass defense. They are missing, I don't know how to say his name exactly, Akello? Is that how you say it? Akilo Witherspoon, one of their top cornerbacks. So there's going to be opportunity for the Eagles and Jalen Hurts to pass the ball a little bit more. I'll say Jalen Hurts throws for between 190 and 210, somewhere in that range. 1 or 2 touchdown passes. That's how I see it playing out. I'll throw over under 199.5. That's a tough number to bet on. I have it being 29-17 this week. I have a feeling it being 14-14 at half and Eagles having the Link Electric in the second half. Yeah, I can see that. I have a slightly different score on the Eagles side. I have 17 on my prediction for the Rams. Again, remember, I don't think people can predict much more than 20 or 21 points for this Rams offense. Because, again, the numbers don't lie. 16 watching on 9 likes. Guys, not good enough. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. Hit that subscribe button. Can we get 17 subscribers today for Mitchie Poo? If we get 17 subscribers, that would be great for Mitchie Poo, right? So, guys, like, share, subscribe. Hurts throws for, of course, 169 or 269. He's more likely to throw for 169 than 269. But that's just that. The matchups do favor the Eagles throwing the ball a little bit more. Dallas Goedert being back out there. They haven't said it officially, but he has practiced both days this week. Dallas Goedert back out there helps the passing game. Dallas Goedert out there helps the run game. Dallas Goedert out there helps everything, offensively speaking. I talked about it early in the week, about how I feel like they're too reliant on the tush push. How they set up to get to the tush push, right? Well, with the onus and focus of the league and the officials on the tush push, I actually think they will try to run it less this week. Maybe they do try to just run an offense. And if they happen to get in tush push territory, they use it. It might be one of those weeks where we see a play action off of a tush push as well. I seriously can't remember the last time we've had this good blitzes in Dean, Campbell, Makuba, Bond, Dejean. Don't forget about the entire defensive line. That's very good at it. Jalen Carter lining up on the outside. Pretty special. I'm telling you, we are in a very, very rare special era of Eagles defense. And I don't think anybody realizes it. I think when we look back 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about Jalen Hurts. We're going to be talking about multiple Super Bowls. But we're going to be talking about an all-time great Eagle. The conversation on whatever will replace YouTube 20, 30 years from now will be which Eagles defensive era was greater? This Nick Sirianni, Vic Fangio era or the Buddy Ryan era of defenses? Which era of defense will be more elite? And because this era has at least one and probably 2 or 3 when all said and done titles, this era will go down as the elite era of defense. I really, truly believe that. And, you throw Nakobe Dean's name into there. We forget, we're entering week 3. We're only 2 weeks away from Nakobe Dean eligible to come off IR. If he comes back and even contributes an ounce, that takes our defense up another notch. Just think about it. If Nakobe Dean can come back even remotely what he was before, And then you can have Bond and Dean in the middle and slide Campbell outside to elevate our pass rush even more. Just think about that. Think how crazy good this Eagles defense already is. And you're adding a guy that was playing at borderline all-pro level last year. Adam says Eagles 27-17. Another very good score. Again, I'm not giving my score away. I do have the Rams only scoring 17 points this week. I don't fear a single offense in the NFL when it goes against the Eagles. I'm sure the Eagles will give up a big amount of points one game. They'll have a lapse. It happens. But there's no offense in the NFL that I look at and be like, oh no, I guarantee we're giving up a lot to them. Honestly, it's not uncommon to throw the ball short of the sticks and expect the wide receiver, tight end, running back to beat the matchup. Casey managed to stop us more often in that situation. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Maybe they're not as I am saying over the top with it, setting up the tush push. But they do not take as many shots as the route trees and whatnot. They don't take as many shots. On every route tree, it's either all are going deep or all are going short. But I get it. I get what you're saying. And Saquon did have one break. You know, he did break a tackle on one key short pass on Sunday against the Chiefs. That Buddy Ryan's defense was full of Hall of Famers. Yeah, absolutely. 2 should be 3. And this Eagles defense, while they were playing with the Eagles, we didn't know they were all going to be Hall of Famers. We didn't know what it was. We knew it was a really great defense. When all is said and done, mister, this Eagles defense has Hall of Fame talent on it. John Campbell, Zach Bond, Jalen Carter, theory, could be. Quinion Mitchell, Cooper Dejean. In theory, all these young guys could be. But the Eagles defense that you're talking about, the Buddy Ryan, they didn't have stats like this. 3 times in 23 games, 24 points or more. That's it. I bet you if you go back and look, I bet you the Eagles defense of now gives up a lesser points per game. In fact, I'm gonna do the research after the show. We'll say 1991. Well, we'll do some comparisons there. I have the Eagles defense in my fantasy. Well, you're in luck in that sense. Who's the third? Clyde Simmons? No. I always say Seth Joyner should have been in the Hall of Fame or should be in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, White and Allen finally got in Allen. And when I think of Reggie White, I think of him as a Green Bay Packer personally, but I get the fact that Eagles fans think of him as an Eagle still. Clyde Simmons was a really, really good player. A very underrated, underappreciated player in Eagles history. But no, I think Seth Joyner should be a Hall of Famer. I really, truly do. Andre Waters wasn't, but was a little closer than people realized to it. And Jerome Brown would have probably been a Hall of Famer if he didn't meet his tragic end, unfortunately. But who's to say that there's not 3 or 4 Hall of Famers on this current defense? Zach Bond probably would never get in the Hall of Fame because his career's already on the second half of it. He's just finally breaking out. Reggie White's best years were in Philadelphia. They were. The 7 or 8 years here in Philly to 8 or 9 everywhere else. Look, I'm not trying to make this about Reggie White not being great or not. And that was a great Eagles defense back then. It was a great Eagles defense with a terrible offense. They didn't find ways to win. We got a great Eagles defense now with an average offense, and we're still finding ways to win. But it really comes down to the numbers. I did this last year, and I don't remember the numbers. I got every notebook sitting over here that I've ever used, so it's probably over there somewhere. The numbers of this Eagles defense that they put up, or lack thereof give up, is all-time great. And it gets overlooked because of the tush push. It gets overlooked because of Jalen Hurts' pedestrian numbers. The eyes should be on the defense, not the offense right now. You want to talk positive, talk about the defense. You want to talk negative, you talk about the tush push. Reality check, what is happening, my man? How you doing this morning? Hope you are good. I know I'm doing good. I'm feeling good this Friday morning. Hoping for a fantastic weekend with some big Eagles victories. Well, a big Eagles victory. Oh, look at the playoff run last year. We talk about MVP Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, right? And rightfully so. In the playoffs last year, they gave up in 4 games 77 points in 5 games. 77 points in 5 games. Or 4 games. 77 and 4. That's not much. Not much at all. Not Friday, but Friday. It's Friday. Did I say Friday, or are you just saying it like that? Friday? Look, I got an accent. I know I do. I didn't know I did, but I know I do. Now, at this point in life, I do know it. Trying to do something here. They gave up on average 19.25 points per game in the playoffs last year, this Eagles defense. Less than 20 points a game. Let that sink in. That crazy great Packers offense that everyone's scared of right now. We faced them in the playoffs. We gave up 10 points to them. The Eagles offense only needs to put up 21 or 24 points a game. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to win. Why? Because of the defense. Why do they always say defense wins championships, right? Because it's the truth. It's what really actually matters. The number that should have gotten Seth Joyner in the Hall of Fame, not the 24 picks, not the 52 sacks. What are you talking about then? I agree that defense truly has surprised me with what a turnaround from week 1, and these young guys can ball out. But geez, bro, 11 of the 12 starts on offense from last year, and we can't do anything. 23 vibes. What I'm actually, so you're coming in late here, so you might not have heard the whole story. I'm not talking about just these 2 weeks, reality check. I'm talking about over the last 23 games. The Eagles' defense has given up 24 or more points 3 times. They've given up 20 or less points 14 of 23 times. Just think about that. 20 or less points 14 times. Let me pull up my calculator here. 14. Oops, I got to do that. 14 divided by 23. That's a 61% clip that they're giving up 20 or less points. And not a small sample size. It's a huge sample. 23 games in the NFL. That's a lot of football. 26 forced fumbles. Seth Joyner to me is a Hall of Famer. Plain and simple. I don't think he'll ever get in. I think it's past that time. I mean, if it took Eric Allen as long as it took him, for some reason, Seth Joyner will never get in. We know that. But it is what it is. It's not even an opinion, Adam. It's a simple fact. Yes, the Eagles defense is elite. Just do it with all capital letters on the word elite. Make it big and bold and bright. The focus on what makes this Eagles team great is Jalen Hurts' leadership, his determination, his way of commanding the locker room and the players. This team is great because of a great coaching staff. But this team is special because they have an elite freaking defense with talent all over it. They have one hole on the defense, really, and that's Adoree Jackson. And what kind of hole is that, really? It's not that big of a hole. I mean, he's still a solid cornerback. In theory. I guess in theory. Unbelievably, Robert Mathis had more than twice the number of forced fumbles at 54. I mean, you're really diving deep into the forced fumble numbers right now. Dude, I don't care about our D. That's not the issue here. I agree our D over the last 2 years has been fantastic, but this offense is going to be our downfall unless Kevin can do what Moore did. Look, I'm not taking away from the fact that the offense has been bland. The reason why I'm going this defense angle reality check is because of the narrative on social media. Because the narrative of the tush push and Jalen Hurts. They're looking at the wrong things. They're trying to focus on the negative instead of the positive. Okay? Yes, I've said it all week that the offense has to be better, and I think it will be better. Yes, I've said it all week that I'm the only one saying it. People think I'm wrong, that they're working too hard to get to the tush push versus running an offense and using the tush push as a complement when necessary. I know all these things. I agree with all those things. But you know what? You can still win a title if your defense is special and elite. And that's what this Eagles defense is. If Ray Dinger was on the show, he would say you can't judge this defense to Buddy Ryan defense because teams don't play in the preseason anymore and they are rusty. So other teams are rusty against our defense. But no one wants to say our offense is rusty, right? I would think of the top 40 in forced fumbles, more than half would have to be in the Hall of Fame. Interesting. Happy Football Friday to you, Chet. I hope you have a great weekend planned. I'm sure there's something fun going on that you'll be at, enjoying your life there, as always. Great show this week, Philly Press Box Radio, guys. Caught the Kevin Stocker interview. Good stuff. I'm just trying, reality check, to change the narrative, okay? To change the focus of the fans, the media, the attention that this team gets. I'm trying to put the focus on the right things. I think the Eagles offense will get moving a little this week. We also got to give credit. The struggles of the offense last week. Let's not just say it was all the Eagles. Let's realize the Chiefs have a championship caliber defense as well. The Chiefs have a championship defensive coordinator. They have playmakers on it. So it's not like we were going up against, I don't know, the New Orleans Saints defense or the Carolina Panthers defense. It was the Chiefs defense. I don't want to see the brotherly shove anymore. Hell, Nick has made me hate it now. I hate the attention it takes away from the team in the game. And I was the one joking all offseason, run an entire drive of just tush pushes, right? But I feel the offense has become too reliant on it. I don't hate the play. It's a very effective play. And it works when needed. But they literally ran it 7, 8, 9 times last week. It was 2nd and 8, and they were just trying to get the 3rd and 1 instead of trying to get the first down. And that's the problem I have with it this year. And maybe that is on Kevin Patullo's play calling. He's like, oh, I always got that backup option in my head. We only need to get to 3rd and 2. He goes, and 2 tush pushes is first down. That's the problem I have with the tush push this year. A championship mentality is always looking at weaknesses and trying to improve. Calling it unfair negativity is complete thin-skinned loserville. Look, when I'm calling it, the way I'm calling it is totally different than the way the media would call it. You've got people in the media, much more important than me, asking for the Eagles, saying it's okay if the Eagles lose on Sunday as long as Jalen Hurts throws for 300 passing yards. Because they'd rather see him throw for 300 yards than win the football game. That's the negativity. That's the loserville. Okay? We could say that the offense is weak. We could say that, right? But we can also realize the good. We can also realize that the win is all that matters in the end. And that is all that matters, the win. I hate it because Nick abuses the hell out of it. Just hand the ball off to Barkley or Dylan and stop Look, reality check. I don't care if they use it to get the first down. If you're at 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or you're on the goal line, you use it. It works. If you got one play that's effective 90% of the time and one play that's effective 85% of the time, you're going to run the 90%. Sure, that's what the numbers and the odds say. But how about we try to get the touchdown before we need it? Let's try to get the first down before we need it. That's all we're saying. Saying it's okay to lose is what I like to call happy loser. What I call it is Doc Rivers mentality. I call being okay with losing the wrong attitude to take in life. That's the era of the participation trophy above and beyond. I pay, you win. This isn't. It's funny you say that right as I bring up the participation trophy era, which is really what the downfall of a lot of this is. Losses are okay. It makes you stronger in the end. No, I want to win every damn game. Well, the nitwits on the morning and afternoon show over on WWWIP like to say that this game doesn't matter, win or loss, as long as Jalen Hurts throws the ball effectively, as long as their fantasy football players score more points. And you know what that is? That's Doc Rivers' mentality right there. I love the tush push. It's so demoralizing to the defense. It's like in the show Oz. I've never seen Oz. I've heard of it, and I know it's a good show, but never saw it. Is anyone going to talk Allen's dink and dunk game, or is that exactly? RJ? I saw Josh Allen's passing chart last night, where all the balls went. That was you could take Josh Allen's face off, put Jalen Hurts' face on it, and the criticism. In fact, I'm going to write that down. I might do that later. I'm writing that down. You could put Jalen Hurts' face on that, and then all of a sudden everyone would start talking about it. There's a double standard. Josh Allen got personal fouls called his way last night. Actually, I saw somebody. I didn't really slow it down or think about it. But there was a kneel down at halftime that he fumbled the ball and they just blew it dead right away. Like, Josh Allen, well, Jalen Hurts is the poster child for hate in the NFL. Josh Allen's the poster child for love. Guess what? I'll take the one that's got the Super Bowl championship trophy in his case. I'll take the one that's actually played in a Super Bowl over the one that hasn't. They'll tell you they're looking out for the long-term outlook and that it's not always about instant gratification. Oh, I know what they'll tell you. They'll spin it any way they want. I still think it's a loser mentality. I still would rather win the game than lose the game. Winning the game ugly is better than losing the game pretty. That's a problem in the world, not just the NFL, the world today. The dink and dunk game is an extension of the running game. That's what it is for other teams. For the Eagles, it's bad football. And there's an ounce of truth to it, but don't make it the whole. Look, I guess there is a little truth to it. Showing progress. There's some truth to it. If you're a team like, let me look at the games this weekend. If you're a team like New England, trying to get some momentum going in their franchise, or if you're a team like Houston that's had hype but hasn't quite gotten there, yeah, a loss is okay. Not okay. A loss, you can find positives in a loss if it's going to lead to more. But a team like the Eagles that are champions, defending champions, that are trying to repeat as champions, wins are all that matters. Because we're doing it. A team that's not done it before, you don't know if they can do it or not. We know the Eagles can do it. They've done it last year. We complained about the offense last year, early in the season. And there's the other aspect of it. We complained about the offense all early last year. Kellen Moore was doing a terrible job. It took 3, 4, 5 weeks for that offense to be humming. I know we make all about the defense turning around after the early bye last year, but the offense turned around after the early bye last year as well. So you got to take all that into the equation. Guys, you're watching. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. If you haven't, share. If you haven't, subscribe to the STT Sports Network YouTube page and vote on our poll question. Who wins and why? Well, who wins on Sunday? Eagles or Rams? Obviously, a little skewed being this is an Eagles, a Philadelphia sports channel. Eagles are at 88%. Rams are at 12% so far. His inner Bill Welsh. I'm done with the Hurts hate. I've come to the conclusion a while back he won't get his flowers till after he retires. He's kind of like Steve Young category. That's an interesting comparison. The first half of it, I agree 1,000%. He won't get his flowers till after he retires. He'll get his flowers. Every media member will be cheering him when he's at the Hall of Fame, getting his gold jacket, right? But comparing him to Steve Young, I grew up in the Steve Young era. I grew up in the Joe Montana era, okay? I'm an old man, reality check. I remember watching Steve Young play and be like, hey, he's not that good. He's not that special. I was a kid. I didn't know as much as I do now about football. And then later on, after he retires, I watch highlights. I do now. Like, damn, he was really good. Eagles can't afford to lose. If we lose, we get trolled to oblivion. Chiefs lose, it's tush-push talk. Absolutely. But yet some media members will tell you, you know what? It's okay if they lose, as long as they lose the right way. It's a pathetic loser mentality, RJ. And I hate it. There's excuses why we beat you, but there's no excuse for us to the excuses change way too easily in these conversations. Hurts is still evolving, and the story is still being written. I absolutely agree. Jalen Hurts is still getting better on a weekly and yearly basis. There ain't no doubt about it. But again, all this focus on the offense. And I just look at the defense and be like, there ain't no chance we lose. It's going to be hard for me to predict a loss any week this year. Just because every week when we get to the pre-game prediction show here, I'm going to look at the defense and be like, that defense ain't going to give up more than 2 scores or 3 scores against the opposing offense. Because that's just a straight fact. Was Steve Young that good, or did he have elite wide receivers? Yeah, Steve Young just had a super team. That's why he was good. He just happened to have the greatest wide receiver of all time. That's why he was good. He had a great coach. Actually, he had George Seifert, not Walsh. But anyway, yeah, Steve Young stunk. Joe Montana was terrible. They just happened to have the greatest wide receiver of all time. Let's dock them from the Hall of Fame, Adam, because they had an elite wide receiver. Oh, my God. Thank you for the laugh. I appreciate the laugh, Adam. You really brought another little bit of joy to my day today. I love it. Love that comment right there. It is almost the top of the hour. So, guys, like, subscribe, share. Let me do a quick refresh over here on the side screen. See where the poll is, see where the likes are for the show as we continue to battle on through the Eagles. We are about 2 minutes away. I will go through all the games. You're up to 11 likes. There are 17 people watching, 18 votes, but only 11 likes on the video. That means like 7 or 8 of you haven't done that. Please hit that button, please. Would greatly appreciate it. We'll go over all the games against the spread here in a few minutes. I will give you my prediction for the Eagles game in a little while, but let's keep on chugging along here. The next step of improvement would be the 3 to 5 step play action from under center. Everyone has weaknesses they can improve on, and on his pocket passing has improved. The Smitty throw was from the pocket. So I don't think he has to improve on the play action. They just need to call it more. There's a difference between him having to get good at it or them having to call it. They don't call the play. All I know is Carson Wentz better ball out this weekend because I need a new quarterback in mud because they did Jalen Hurts dirty. There are so many jokes. There's so many jokes. Travis Kelce will literally tell the world we ain't lose because tush push, and somehow that's the main topic. I agree, RJ. You are not wrong at all. I still go that Travis Kelce cost himself that game by doing the marbles walk, right? And then it all fell apart after that. Couldn't happen to a better guy. I think Sandman is channeling his inner Andy Reid. He's probably too young to remember Bill Walsh in the 80s. Madden. Sorry, no, I got you. I figured that's what you meant. I thought you meant fantasy, but Madden, whatever. All good. This Eagles game versus the Rams will be won in the trenches. This Eagles game will be won by the defense of the Eagles. This Eagles game will be won by the offensive line pass protecting, so Jalen Hurts can throw the ball. You know what's so funny? We talk about how bad the passing game was. And I think I'm the only one. I've watched a lot of content this week, and I've followed a lot of sports shows. I'm the only one saying that if Greg Calcaterra makes one block on the first play of the game, there's 65 more yards on the passing line for Jalen Hurts. The whole game plays out differently. One block on the first play of the game and the Jalen Hurts narrative, the tush-push narrative, could all be different. We could also be 1-1. Who knows? Maybe the Chiefs played differently after that play. One block. That's why I need the Eagles' offensive line to pass block better. I'm the only one saying the pass blocking is not as elite as people think. Been saying it for 2 years now. What's up, Anthony? Good morning. Rams have a bad O-line. Eagles will be all over slow-ass Stafford. I agree. The whole narrative of this show is, well, everyone's talking the tush-push in the offense. I'm focused on the defense. Everyone mentions him. I don't know why. I follow him. I'm subscribed to his channel, but his shit never shows. Like, I have to dig and think to remember to go watch his show. For some reason, Marcus Thomas stuff does not show up on my feed for some reason. But it was clear as day. There was an easy opportunity there. Everything changes if Greg Calcaterra makes one block. Maybe Marcus got the information from watching my show, because I've been talking about it since Monday morning. One block changes the entire outcome or game flow or game script for both teams. And the narrative this week could be completely different. Does he cover the WNBA? Didn't he used to work for that agree to disagree channel? Maybe that's why I don't say him much. I just want Kevin to stop being predictable. If we were under center, dude, I know. I went over these stats earlier. I wrote them all down in different formations, different ways I wrote the stats down. I got them here. So the specifics, reality check. 11 plays from pistol last week, 1 pass, which was the first play of the game. 14 plays under center, all runs. No play action pass under center, what? 33 shotguns, 26 were passes, 7 runs. 2 of those 7 runs were 3rd and 15s that were draws. So really 5 runs, basically, from shotgun. It's extremely, extremely, extremely predictable. And that is a major problem. That's a big, the play calling, if you want to talk about the Eagles offense, if you want to talk about the lack of a passing game or whatever, the real conversation should be 2 weeks of Kevin Patullo play calling. Where has the play action been? Where has the read options been? Where has the audibles been from Jalen Hurts? Where's the up-tempo to get the offense out of a funk? That's what's missing from this. That should be the conversation. I don't want to judge a book, in its first 2 pages. The first 2 chapters of this book of Kevin Patullo is not good, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to give it time. But if you want to have a negative narrative coming out of week 2, it should be on the play calling, not Jalen Hurts, not the tush push. I know who Marcus Thomas is. There was a former Eagles football player that did a show on another online channel. They like to use the tagline of agree to disagree. I don't want to give him any free publicity, but I thought he was part of their brand for a while. Not my favorite brand out there, we'll just say. There has been no creativity in the play calling so far. Absolutely not, Anthony. Not even a little bit, okay? It's been as predictable. I mean, I'm a very predictable person in life, not just on this show. And it's more predictable than me. Like my life, I got a schedule, and I love to stick to my schedule. I do. Let me tell you something. The Eagles' offense is as predictable as predictability gets. There are legit gripes, and I hope it's just because we were in regular preseason football. Not moving the pocket was ridiculous. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just love how we go from a good coordinator to a bad one, back to a good one, back to a bad one. Like, we can't find consistency. I agree. But again, I'm not going to write Kevin Patullo off 2 weeks into the season. I'm going to give him 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then we can talk about if week 6 we're still having this conversation. Hold on. I know let me look at the schedule real quick here. If we're at week 6 at the Giants, still struggling, week 7 at Minnesota, still struggling offensively, all right, then we can have that conversation. But right now I'm going to be patient, okay? Steve Young was elite. Young Montana is the best duo on the same roster at the same time ever. Number 2 is Favre Rodgers. We were just joking that he wasn't elite, Kid Camden. It was just complete sarcasm, saying that they were overrated because they had Jerry Rice, because Jalen Hurts is overrated because he's got A.J. Brown, you know? So, you know, we were just spoofing that there. Definitely not something we believed in. I do remember how bad Steve Young looked in Tampa, but that O-line was awful. Didn't he go 1-15 one year in Tampa or something like that? He had a really bad season in Tampa, right? Just saying, right? Anyway, let's take a look at the other games around the NFL this weekend real quick, okay? You got some really boring ones and some really good ones, which makes Randall's career so hard to analyze. Yeah. Again, we blame Jalen Hurts for winning only because he's got talent, but we give Randall Cunningham an excuse because he didn't have talent. So, do great quarterbacks have to have talent or not have to have talent? And that's the problem. We blame the talent for Jalen Hurts' success. We don't give Jalen any credit for the success. But we then go back to people like Randall and say we can't judge him because he didn't have talent on his team. Well, if he was so great and you don't need talent to win, then which one is it? And that's what always frustrates me on the Jalen talk. All right. First Sunday game, 1 o'clock. And by the way, I was wrong. I predicted the Bills to cover the 11.5-point spread last night. They only won by 10. That sucks. That was on me. My bad. What was I last week? I think it was like 12-4 last week on picks. Where were last week's picks? Yeah, I was 12-4 on picks last week. So let's see. We're already off to an 0-1 start. So first couple games, Packers at Cleveland Browns. Packers are 7.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Packers to cover that game. Browns stink. Phillies start a series against the Diamondbacks, 3 games behind the Brewers for number 1 seed. Let's just win. Let's just win a few more games. No, I'm not writing him off yet, but it doesn't look good. Oh, I agree with you on that. Don't forget, I will be in Lambeau week 10 if this is the same bullshit. Oh, if it's still like this by week 10, then a change should have been made. No, I picked the Bills to cover the 11.5-point spread. So I said Bills minus 11. See, I do my picks on the spread, Mitchie Poo, not straight up. And I thought the Bills would win. I wrote down a score for last night's game of 41-20. I thought those Bills would easily cover the 11.5-point spread. I thought they'd win by 2 to 3 scores. That's my bad. I got the Packers minus 7.5. Next 1 o'clock game, Colts at Titans. Colts are miraculously 2-0 under Danny Dimes. Titans are 0-2. I'm going to take the Titans plus 4.5. Okay? I don't think the Titans will win, but yeah. Bengals at Vikings. The Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz game. Vikings are 2.5-point favorites at home, and I have no idea how to predict this game. So for the benefit of those with flash photography, I am going to take the Minnesota Vikings to cover the 2.5-point spread. Packers dominate. Yeah, I think the Packers roll and continue to build their hype up and their mystique. Randall was not made for the West Coast offense, but you see what he did with Minnesota, which had some West Coast aspects and a real offense unleashed. I get it. Well, I just love how we sit here and build people up for being excellent, not having anyone, while we can also tear someone down for having a good team. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Colts go 3-0, but Titans keep it close. I agree. I like the 4.5. I like that line there a lot. Bengals win and cover. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Pittsburgh at New England. Pittsburgh's a 1.5-point favorite. I got not only New England covering, I got New England beating Pittsburgh outright. Good morning, Duck. Late to the show, but there's always room for you to add on to the conversation. We'll skip over the Rams-Philly game. We'll get back to that in a bit. Jets at Tampa. Jets are 6.5-point dogs. Tampa Bay is favored by 6.5. I'm taking Tampa Bay to cover. The Jets stink. Raiders at Washington. Washington is only a 3.5-point favorite there. That line kind of scares me. I'm going to take Washington to cover, but I'm concerned. How Washington is only 3.5-point favorite over the Raiders. I don't know. I got New England both as well. Absolutely agree with you on that one. Eagles are just not good at promoting from within. Most of our good imports, our OCs are imports. Yeah. Atlanta at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are 5.5-point dogs at home. I'm actually going to take the Panthers to cover, but not win that game. I see like a 3 or 4 point game win from Atlanta there. So that's it. No Fields, Jets get destroyed. Actually, there's an argument that Jacoby Brissett's actually better. I agree. I think the Vikings win. No Daniels, Mariota is starting. Has that been officially announced? I didn't know it was officially announced. I thought it was still questionable. Jacksonville's at home against Houston. Jacksonville's a 1.5-point favorite. Man, Houston has fallen. Houston has fallen on hard times. They have. I do these picks on the fly here, just so you guys know. I'm going to take Houston in that game. That's what I'm going to do. Daniels hasn't practiced all week. Commander's going down. Yeah, I didn't think there was an official word on Jaden Daniels yet. We'll see. I actually still think even with Mariota, they could beat the Raiders. I think the Raiders are all hype. I don't think they're that good yet. But guys, a lot of people watching. If you haven't, hit that like button, subscribe, share, vote on the poll. We're up to 20 votes. 90% of you have said the Eagles are winning. Rams at 10%. Pittsburgh. Yeah, I don't buy Pittsburgh. I hate Aaron Rodgers, so I might be a little skewed there. Steven says Jacksonville sends Houston to 0-3. Man, does Ryans get fired this year in Houston? Wow. Yeah, I like Tampa. I think Tampa is an underrated team in the NFL for sure. Broncos at Chargers. Start the 4 p.m. slate. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Broncos. Outright Broncos. I know they haven't looked good, but we're going to get a little freaky this week with my picks. All right, we're going to see how we do here. Saints at Seattle. Seattle 7.5-point favorites. Seattle blows out the New Orleans Saints. The Saints stink. The Saints are trying to go 0-17 this year. Dallas at Chicago. That's a tough one. Chicago's 1.5-point dogs at home. I'm going to take Chicago. I'm going 3 outright upsets this week. Cardinals at 49ers. 49ers are 2.5-point favorites there. I'm going to slide. I'll take the 49ers. No, I'm going to take the Cardinals. Cardinals outright as well. And we'll get to the Sunday Night Football in a second here. Even if Daniels plays, he's been more RG3 this year than anything else. Again, don't overreact after 2 weeks. Campbell lights up Dallas defense. Chicago wins. I hope so. I just want to see. I can't wait to talk about this Sunday Night Football game in a second. Houston, man. Houston is just falling apart quickly there. Is it a CJ Stroud thing? Is it a DeMeco Ryans thing? Or DeMeco Ryans thing? I don't know what's going on with Houston. I don't know what's going on with Houston. What I do know, I knew what you meant. Caleb Williams stinks, just so you know. But I'll be rooting for him because it's against Dallas. We do know one thing. We do know the Eagles are going to win this week. Finally, Sunday Night Football, Kansas City at New York Giants. Do I root for the Giants to get their first win, or do I root for Kansas City to really implode and fall to 0-3? Can you imagine what the NFL would be like if the poster child, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, fall to 0-3? The Giants are only 6.5-point dogs against the Chiefs. I am actually taking the Giants and the points. And I know it's kind of crazy. I think I'd rather see the Chiefs lose than the Giants lose in this specific situation. It's crazy. It's a crazy even narrative to think about. You do realize the only reason Pittsburgh lost last weekend was because of the stupid return man letting the ball go in the end zone right, other than the Pittsburgh. So you're making excuses for why they lost? Yeah. Chargers, yeah. Seattle. The league leader in passing yards, Russell Wilson, gets the job done. Let Russ cook. Yeah, look, I think I love a good, like, a senior citizen coming out of retirement. You know, why not? Root for the old man, right? Caleb Williams is ass. I just can't pick. I want to see the Chiefs. I want to see the Cowboys. I want to see their fan bases collapse and fall to pieces so bad. The excuses that'll come out then. The tush push from last week will probably be the excuse why KC loses this week, right? Probably. I don't know. Anyway, Eagles game. Let's get to the final thoughts on this Eagles-Rams game. Again, as the narrative has been all day, it's about the defense more than anything. Cardinals, I actually am very high on the Cardinals this year. I should have taken Miami yesterday. I thought the Buffalo could cover. It was 11.5 points. When I wrote it down, it got to 12.5. Yeah, I thought Buffalo was going to win by 20-plus in that game. They actually held it pretty close for a little while, the Dolphins, too. I was kind of impressed that they actually held it together a little bit. Giants lost, but their pass game looked great. Yes. Can't believe we already in week 3. I know. It's already flying by. As the narrative has been today, I am predicting an Eagles pretty substantial victory over the Rams because of the defense, okay? Because the Rams will not be able to score the points necessary to win this game. I've already agreed with other score predictions of 17 points for the Rams. The Rams will score 17 points. All my predictions here. I wrote my 4 predictions down for the game, okay? 3 Eagles wins, 3 victories, and 1 loss for the Eagles. The loss, I only had written down 24 points for the Rams. All the other things were 21 or less points because the defense will dominate again. I am going to go with an offensive explosion for the Eagles. And the Eagles win 35-17 over the Rams. Jalen Hurts throws for about 200 passing yards. Saquon cracks 100 rushing yards. A.J. Brown gets a tutty. And all is right in Philadelphia for 1 week. They'll probably say that Jalen Hurts still didn't throw the ball enough. They'll probably still make an excuse. Or he'll throw for 250 yards, will win big, but he'll throw an interception, and they'll criticize that interception play 100 times over. But I am going to go 35-17. The Eagles win big. Dolphins coach, next stop. You sent me that picture, and I laughed my ass off for a few minutes, Adam, on that picture, man. Love it. I'm going to say what most people want. Ever since Travis started dating Taylor Swift, the Chiefs have fallen drastically, and they haven't been able to recover. I think it was just coincidental with the age of some of their players and stuff like that. You know, if the Chiefs, just hear me out. You want to go Taylor Swift stuff, and just say the Chiefs are 2-7 9 weeks from now, right? Is Taylor Swift still going to all those football games? If the Chiefs stop being must-see TV, does she keep showing up? Makuba had his welcome to the NFL game last week. Campbell gets his. I already predicted a Campbell sack this week, okay? Already did early in the show, so I'm right there with you. Hurts has 3 interceptions his last 20 games played. But yet he's not a good enough quarterback. They bashed him for turning the ball over too much in 23. So in 24 and 25, he doesn't turn the ball over. And they bash him for that. I just think we all have to come to the understanding that no matter what happens, Jalen Hurts will be the poster boy for getting criticized, no matter what. Defense gives the Eagles 3 short fields, and that's the Hurts bash this week. Yes, he doesn't throw big yards, but he throws a bunch of tutties because of short fields. The yardage won't be there because of the short fields. And guess what? I'll be right here on the show all next week, standing up for that exact fact there, Nooms. Danny Dimes, comeback player of the year. Danny Dimes, comeback player of the year, kid. Danny Dimes, MVP of the league. Oh, man. Listen, man, I was winning this game too, but I also know this could be our first loss. I agree, it could be. I don't think it will be, but it could be. Anybody can win on any given Sunday. I say that is because Jackson has to go up against either Puka or Adams, and that scares me. Yeah. Look, he had to go up against CeeDee Lamb. We still won that football game. Look, we're always going to have a weak spot somewhere. But we have such a great defense as a whole. We'll be able to get the pressure that you can mitigate the damage against Adoree Jackson. You can. And you mitigate it because the defense as a whole is elite. Eric Allen had Burt Toast, Izell Jenkins line up across from him at times. They still put up great numbers as a defense. Danny Dimes is the Geno Smith or Sam Darnold this season. Yeah. Is he on a one-year deal, Duck, or did he sign a long-term deal with the Colts? Because if he didn't, he'll get paid to go elsewhere next year after that and then fail again probably, right? I love it. I love the Danny Dimes story. Danny Dimes cannot be comeback player of the year since when was the comeback player of the year made for people who were trash and now is good? Comeback is for injuries. Yeah, I think it could go both ways. But whatever. It's just a joke. I think it's a one-year deal. Yeah, that's what I thought. But, they're already probably talking about giving him a huge – what was his contract with the Giants when he signed that extension? 4 years, 160, I think. Somebody's going to pay him. It's crazy. It's crazy how bad the Giants fumbled Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Maybe Brian Dable isn't that good of a coach after all. We already know they have a terrible GM. Crazy wet world we are in right now with that stuff. It's just insane. I'm going to end this. We got 15 minutes left, and I've already said Eagles 35, the Rams 17. I wrote this down yesterday. I did a quick short on it. Maybe some of you saw the short. The Eagles, and most specifically Jalen Hurts now, I'm going to throw it in there. The Eagles have become the villains of the NFL. Everybody hates us. Our own city hates us. And if you're a hero long enough, you don't die a hero, you live long enough to become the villain, right? The Eagles have become the villain. We won. We saved the city. We won a Super Bowl. And we didn't die off. We didn't save the city by dying. So what we did, we became the villain. Now you have to hate the Eagles because of that. Because they're too good. Just like everyone hated the Chiefs because they were too good. Everyone hated the Cowboys back in the 90s. They were too good. I'm assuming everybody hated Pittsburgh in the 70s because they were too good. The Eagles and Jalen Hurts have become the villain of the NFL after one successful season. And I mean successful as in championship. Am I right in saying the Eagles have become the villains? Giants didn't invest in the – they never did. You can't protect the quarterback and open holes for running backs without an O-line. Yeah, absolutely. Because, again, teams build their franchises backwards. They think about weapons and they think about certain positions. You build the trenches, offensive, defensive line, then you build out. You shouldn't even get a franchise quarterback until you have a great left and right tackle. You build the line, then you get the quarterback, then you go get the talent around him. Can't believe how much weight Jason Kelce lost. Didn't notice that. I'm not really checking out his weight loss really too much. That's not what my eyes look at, or where my mind goes. I don't think about that. I look at my belly, how much weight I have not lost this year, or how much weight I've gained this year, I should say. That I keep my eye on, and it's pretty pathetic, honestly. I won't lie. I'm in a pretty bad shape right now with the weight loss this year. The NFL hates us because we don't cause controversy and don't get it a crap ton of media noise. So they try to make the media noise themselves. They do. Because they also know we get pissed off and we get frustrated as fans, right? The Eagles do a pretty good job hiding whether the noise bothers them or not. But the Eagles, the league loves to hate on us for that. The NFL scriptwriters write and the media follows. It's because the NFL overloads, tells them what to do. So, yeah. But I still think that leads us to being the villains. The scriptwriters are doing whatever they can to be anti-Eagles because we're the villains. We draw the headlines. People didn't give Batman the credit for defeating the Joker. They talked a lot about the Joker causing havoc in Gotham. But once he was defeated, it was on to the next negative. We are the villain. And I don't mind being the villain. I'll stand here and I'll pound the table to support our team to prop them up. But I have no problem being the villain. I'm the villain in my own life. And that's a true story. I was the hero, and I became the villain in my own story. That's a complete, total fact. I want to see a trick play pass to Lane Johnson. I've always wanted the trick play to Jordan Mailata. But sure, Lane Johnson. I don't want to risk Lane Johnson getting hurt, running a route, unless it's just a 1-yard catch in the end zone. He doesn't get hit. Lane's actually caught a touchdown pass before, I believe, honestly, right? I've wanted the Jordan Mailata goal line touchdown run so bad. You want that? You know what? That's the answer. The league doesn't want the tush push to happen anymore. The Eagles need to line up on Sunday with Jordan Mailata and Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis, the fullback, Jordan Mailata, the running back. Hand the ball off to Mailata on 3rd and 1. And let's see them then start saying, well, it's not fair to have your offensive lineman running plays. Like, could you imagine the hate across the league if Jordan Mailata rushed for a touchdown on the goal line? Well, they would say, oh, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Even if he declares himself eligible, that's not fair. I want the Eagles to run an H-back dive out of I formation to Jordan Mailata with Jordan Davis blocking for him. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. Reality Check, you have a great day, great weekend. I'll be live right here Sunday for the entire game, Reality Check. So come join the watch party on Sunday. We'll be live about 12:50 for the 1 o'clock game right here on this channel. Lane Johnson, he would have to declare. Yeah, you have to declare for sure. He already has one. I thought he had one. I thought maybe he had two, but I do remember one. We're coming up on the final 5 minutes. If you haven't liked, share, subscribe, please, guys. I greatly appreciate it. They have been moving players around since the beginning of the NFL. They would bring out the rule book during the game. They would literally have to stop the game mid-game to see if it's legal for Jordan Mailata to be lined up in the backfield, even though he declares himself eligible. Or you try to declare himself eligible, and the referee will be like, I didn't hear you say it. No, that's penalty, illegal formation, whatever it may be. Create the new tush push by giving Jordan Mailata the football in the backfield. Just think about the hate the league would have for us on that one. It'd be insane. Literally insane. Do it, do it, do it. Who's with me on that? Bet you I couldn't even place a bet on that if I wanted to, by the way. What sports book, what kind of odds would I get for a Jordan Mailata rushing touchdown? There's nothing in the rule books that does not allow for it. If it didn't stop the fridge, they would hate us for rolling it back old school. We're already an old school team, a run-first team, right? We're already making running the football cool again in the NFL. So why not, right? I know there's no rule, but the rule is if you would have to declare as the running back in that situation because he's the offensive lineman, the rest would say, oh, I didn't hear you or something like that. Or they would say that's not fair. They would make excuse. It would be another excuse, right? The best ref thing ever was when that ref used an index card to determine the first down. Yeah, let me pull this index card out. Yep, all right. Not a first down. Like, seriously? Seriously? Can't be that hard to be an official in the NFL, can it? At least the excuse for a home plate ump is it's a tough job. You know, leaning over, trying to see a 98-mile-an-hour changeup and a 103-mile-an-hour fastball, whether they're a strike or not. That's a tough job. Can't be that hard to officiate a football game. You got 17 of you on the field per play. Jordan Mailata rushing touchdown. Give me 500 to 1 odds on it. I want it. I'll place a dollar bet on that. No problem. I'll call up Kevin Patullo. See if we can sneak that into the playbook somewhere. You got to think it's at least in the playbook and been discussed at some point over the last 3 or 4 years, right? It's got to have at least been discussed. With the amount of trick plays that the Eagles have run, and the style that they do, it's got to have at least been discussed. What's up, Bentley? Go Birds! Make sure you hit those buttons. We're about to wrap it up for the day, but glad to see you check in at the last second here. That index card was for show because you can bend that to keep. Yeah, exactly. K1 late. Everyone's joining late today. 27-13, love it. The whole narrative today was about the defense, K1. How elite the defense is. I got 35-17, but 27-13 is perfectly fine for me. This Eagles defense does not give up points. K1, that's been the whole entire topic today. So the Eagles win. There ain't no argument to stop me on that. I firmly believe that the Eagles will win on Sunday, and the offense will put up points, but they're going to win because the defense shuts them down. I'm surprised Doug P. didn't try Jordan Mailata. Yeah, I know. Agreed. K1, who was the New York fan that would break our balls with the Yanks and Knicks? Yeah. His name was, now if you say it, I'll remember. Eagles 27-23. Chet's got a closer game. That would be only the 7th time in 24 games that the Eagles defense gave up 23 or more points. They've given up 24 or more 3 times. 3 other times they gave up 23 points, Chet, in 23 games. So you're predicting a score that hasn't happened Eagles defensively more than, what's that? I think it was 61% on the 20. So I think that would be about like 75% of the time. That does not happen. Can't remember. Yeah, I remember his name. I can see it. I just can't remember it. Rams 17, Eagles 4. So Bentley's got even bigger prediction than me. And I love it. 30-70. I really got everybody predicting these 17 points after a whole game here. And I love it. I think you guys are getting the point of what I'm laying down today. Anyway, I got to start the wrap-up process here. Got to go pick up the wife's car from the mechanic and run it to the ground. Wife's car's pretty much shot. Needs like $7,000 worth of repairs, and it's only worth like $3,000. So he got it running. He said it might run for another week. It might run for another year. We don't know, but we'll see. If Eagles win 52-45, does this story finally get cut? Yeah, do I have to change? What do I got to come on this show on Monday and say if the Eagles defense gives up 40-plus points? Man, I don't know what I'll have to say. So I got to go pick the car up with her here in a few moments. So we are going to wrap this baby up. I will be live on Sunday at 12:50 p.m. for the entire Eagles game, okay? We'll be live doing a watch party right here, so make sure you're subscribed, you like, you share, you tell one, you tell all. I hope you all join the watch party at 1 o'clock on Sunday. We'll be goofing around, having fun, watching the Eagles game. Guys, so with that being said, another great week of shows, guys. Thank you all very, 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 very much. Go Birds! Bubbles up.